In this video, we're going to go through the formative portion of the percent yield lab. In this part of the lab, we're going to be writing the conclusion and explanation. At this point, you need to have all of the calculations done because you're going to be looking at your data and interpreting it. So if you have not done the calculations yet, go back and finish the calculations and then come back to this video. So again, at this point, I'm going to assume that you have the calculations done. So for the conclusion, it says, identify which of the four possible reactions is correct. So I have some made up data here for my four possible reactions. Reaction 1, 2, 3, and 4, 50, 30, 289. So for my conclusion, I want to write in one sentence which of the four possible reactions is correct. So let's look at the data here. So reactions 1 and 2 are 50% or less. That's my percent yield. So that's how close I was to what I predicted. So 50 and 30 are pretty low. So those aren't really a good fit for the reaction. If you look at reaction 3, 200% is way over the mark. I produced way more than I should have, so something probably went wrong there, or it's not the right reaction. Reaction 4, I came up with 89%. So of the four, it's the closest to 100%. So that means, for the lab that we did, we were just heating baking soda. There isn't a lot of room for error unless your group dropped your crucible or spilled something. More than likely, the reaction worked out well. So if you have a percent yield close to 100, that's probably the right reaction. So I'm going to write something like this. Reaction 4 is the best fit for the thermal decomposition of sodium bicarbonate. One sentence. Reaction 4 is the best fit for the thermal decomposition of sodium bicarbonate. Okay? All right, next. It says, for the explanation section, explain your identification using data and calculations from the lab. Include evidence to support your identification. Also include evidence that rules out the remaining reactions. Okay, so for the explanation, you need to talk about each of the reactions and why it was a good fit or why it was not a good fit. So notice in my conclusion, I just wrote reaction 4 is the best fit. I didn't explain why. That is saved for the explanation. So for reaction 4, I'm going to say something along the lines of reaction 4 is or had a percent yield of 89%, which is very close to 100%. This indicates a strong possibility reaction 4 is the correct reaction for the thermal decomposition of sodium bicarbonate. Okay, now I need to rule out the other three reactions. So why did I rule those out? So reactions 1 and 2 had low percent yields. You could be specific here and mention that they're 50 and 30, but I'm just going to put that they're low percent yields. Because they are so low, it's unlikely they are the correct reactions, since no errors were made in the lab. So nothing was spilled, I didn't lose anything. So usually an error would be why you may end up with a low percent yield. So we didn't make any mistakes in the lab, so it's pretty straightforward. Those low percent yields would mean that those can be ruled out. Okay, so reaction 3 had a very high percent yield, over 100%, so it is highly unlikely that is the correct reaction.